Welcome into the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Round one of the 2022 NFL Draft is in the books. Quite frankly, the fastest first round I can remember. And we've got some grades to hand out as the Chiefs made two picks here on Thursday night. We broke down the Trent McDuffie selection earlier. Check out that video after this one and just after you watch this video if you want more details on that pick. We'll also talk about that pick later on, but I want to talk about the second pick the Chiefs made first here. George Karlaftis, the edge rusher out of Purdue. He goes number 30 overall to Kansas City after they traded up from 29 to 21 to go out and select McDuffie. Karloftis becomes the pick here at the end of round one, and quite frankly, you should feel pretty good about this selection and about this night as a whole. I think the value of Karloftis at 30 is really good. There have been mock drafts in the last couple of months where Karloftis has gone as high as 12 to Minnesota, top 15 in a lot of mocks, top 20 in several, and you get him at 30 in a draft where a lot of receivers went, a ton of offensive line went here in round one. Chiefs stayed patient, got a corner, got an edge. This grade for me, for George Karlaftis, A-. I won't give it an A or A+ because I think there are some flaws to Karloftis' game. I think he's a bit stiff. I don't think he's got as much bend as some of these other edge rushers in this draft class, but I think he's a starting caliber player. The Chiefs needed a starting edge rusher opposite of Frank Clark, and I think you've gotten that here with George Karlaftis, so I like this pick quite a bit, and I think he's got the flexibility to kick inside on some passing downs. Grade the pick of George Karlaftis at number 30 overall, A, B, C, D, or F. Like I said, I gave it an A-. Pluses and minuses are welcome here at the Chiefs Report as well. I think it's a really good selection. Now, a scouting report from our guy Tom Downey here at Chat Sports had him as his number 26 overall player. Again, good value. You get him at 30. Tom had him at 26. Number 5 overall edge rusher. I agree with Tom. Not super bendy, but he is a powerful player who's got some versatility, high motor guy. He's not a guy you have to worry about taking plays off or anything like that. Inconsistent finisher at times. It did miss some tackles, so that's a bit of a concern. Probably needs to get better as a run stopper. But you get to late round one, these aren't flawless prospects at this point in the NFL draft, especially this year. This is one of those crapshoot type of drafts. Nothing is guaranteed, but I think the value is really, really good, which is why I gave it an A- grade. You look at his numbers from last year, had 5 sacks, couple of forced fumbles, batted down a couple of passes as well, 36 tackles as a whole. If he can get a little bit more consistent on bringing runners to the ground and adding some moves to his pass rushing arsenal, I think you've got a real chance at having a really good player here for Kansas City. I'll say this. I think the Chiefs found 2 starters tonight. And when you have 2 picks in the first round, that is really all you can hope for. And I think there's a good chance that happens. Now, we're all projecting, right? Until these guys throw on the pads, in training camp and get after it, we won't know for sure. And we really won't know for sure until, a year or 2 from now. But we're going off what we know right now. Chiefs needed a corner and an edge. They got a corner and an edge. I think Karloftis plugs in, starts opposite of Frank Clark with Derek Nottie and Chris Jones on the inside. Michael Dana, I've liked him through 2 years as a rotation guy. He can stay kind of as your number 3, number 4 edge rusher. We'll see if Kansas City adds another edge on day 2. But I think Karloftis for now plugs in and is a starter on this defensive line, and I think that's a really, really good thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, help us out. We're closing in on 29,000 subscribers here on the Chiefs Report. We're less than 200 away. Help us get there by hitting that big red button. We're only 1/3 of the way through this in terms of days in the NFL draft, only 1/7 in terms of rounds. We still got 6 more rounds to go and a lot more picks to get to for Kansas City. Subscribe. Join us. We'll have draft pick analysis for every single pick and draft grades at the end of every single day. So hit that big red button. We'll have you guys covered throughout the NFL draft. Trent McDuffie for the Washington Huskies got drafted by Kansas City after the Chiefs moved up to number 21 overall. And we broke this down in further length on our other video about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, so feel free to check that out. But if you missed that or just want more analysis here, I love this pick. A little undersized at 5'10 3/4, but He's sticky in coverage, has good hip fluidity, can shift his body very, very quickly, which you need to be able to do that, especially when you're undersized. The technique needs to be really, really strong, and that is the case for McDuffie. I think one of the more polished overall players, not just cornerbacks in this class. That's why it's an A grade. Listen, Brett Veach let the draft come to him tonight. He did not reach. Teams panicked, traded up, and overdrafted some guys. Not Brett Veach. Trent McDuffie's a top 12, top 15 player in this class. He trades up at 21 and goes and gets him. George Karlaftis is a fringe top 25 player in this class. Waits at 30, goes out and gets him. Two really good selections tonight. We'll talk in a second, about what they could do tomorrow. But I think so far you got to feel pretty good if you are a member of Chiefs Kingdom. This was the trade that allowed Kansas City to go up and get McDuffie. The Patriots sent 21 to Kansas City, and New England received 29 overall and a third and a fourth, 94 and 121. So if you're the Chiefs, you kept 30, which turned into George Karloftis. You kept 50 and 62, which you still have tomorrow. You still have pick 103, your other third-round pick tomorrow. You've got a lot of ammo. This is a great trade by Brett Veach. I love this move by the Chiefs general manager. And, look, I was critical of him after the Tyreek Hill trade. We'll see what happens at receiver tomorrow. I still think you have some needs there. But after 6 receivers went off the board in the top 18 picks, none other went. So there's still guys out there like George Pickens, Sky Moore. You get even deeper into the draft. You've got guys like Jalen Tolbert, John Mechie. Other names are out there as well. David Bell. There's still good players at the wide receiver position. I love trading up for McDuffie. You got the best player on the board at the time. And when they picked Karloftis, you could argue he was the best player available as well. What do you guys think was the better pick tonight for Kansas City? Type K for Karloftis. Type M for McDuffie. Better pick for the Chiefs here in round 1 of the 2022 NFL Draft. A couple of stats here real quick for McDuffie. Had 35 tackles, 6 PBUs last year. No picks, but like we mentioned earlier, he did not get thrown at a lot. The completion percentage allowed was less than 50%, sticky in coverage, made a lot of plays, and teams were scared to throw at him, to be quite frank. And like Karloftis, I think he plugs in and is a starter. Really, I think he's your second outside corner. I just threw this together really quickly. I think Snead will stay at that nickel spot, which is where he played primarily last year. Fenton and McDuffie would be your outside corners, and I think that's probably an upgrade from last year. As good as Charvarius Ward played a year ago, I think McDuffie has more ability and is stickier in coverage than Ward is. Great night for the Chiefs. It really was. This was a good night. We thought maybe they would trade up for a guy like Jamison Williams or a Chris Olave, go out and get one of those receivers, but these guys were flying off the board, man. I mean, 6 receivers in the top 18 picks. We speculated will Treylon Burks be there at 29. He went at 18. It wasn't even close. So Kansas City pivoted and got a damn good corner and a good edge rusher. I think it was a really good night. You filled 2 big needs. Now go get a receiver or 2 tomorrow, and you'll be feeling really good about this draft. Speaking of which, we will be live tomorrow as well, as we have you covered for all 7 rounds of the NFL Draft. April 28th through 30th tonight is in the books, but we got tomorrow live coverage and Saturday as well. Appreciate you guys for locking and loading with us here on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. I was live for a lot of our coverage over there tonight, and I'll probably be live a little bit over there tomorrow as well. So to put a wrap on this thing, my overall grade in round 1 for the Chiefs, I think it's an A. A- for the 2 player grades, and I think overall you could argue McDuffie's closer to an A+, so I'll round up giving an A grade for Kansas City. And look, you could come at me and say a biased grade, you're giving it an A. This is a damn good haul on round 1 for Brett Veach, at least on paper. Again, we'll see how these players pan out later on in their careers, but for now, you get 2 quality starters in Trent McDuffie and in George Karloftis. Now it's up to them to prove the Kansas City Chiefs right. And I mentioned it earlier, 3 picks tomorrow, 50, 62, and 103. We'll see what Veach does with that ammo. Is he going to trade up again? Maybe he trades back to get a couple extra picks. We'll see how that all unfolds. And again, we'll have you guys covered here on the Chiefs Report. Who should the Chiefs draft next? What do you guys think on this one? Get your answers in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow here on the Chiefs Report.